Breaking up your page into divisions allows you to apply styles to an entire chunk of your page at once. This is particularly useful for designing layouts with cascading style sheets. So we now review those elements that constitute the building blocks of CSS designed web pages. Div tags, which refers to divisions. Divisions or div elements are HTML elements used to define areas of an HTML file. A division can, if you choose, encompass everything within the body of the page, although they're more commonly used for distinct page areas such as headers, footers, navigation bars, and so on. Divs can contain text, graphics, videos, flash elements. In fact, anything that you can place on the HTML page itself can also go in a division tag. These divisions provide greater flexibility and mark out regions of the page. As a number of building block methods rely on divisions, it seems appropriate to also delve into these HTML elements right away. To break up a page into divisions, at the beginning of the division, type an less than symbol and then div. If desired, type id equals and then the name of the division, in this case, in quotation marks, division 1. If desired, you can also type class equals name, where the name is the identifying name of the class that the division belongs to. More about IDs and classes a bit later when we get deeper into CSS. Type a greater than sign to complete the opening div tag, and then create the contents of the division. In this case, I'm just typing in text, but I could put an image here. I could put flash, I could put a video in here. At the end of the division, type less than / div and then greater than to close out that division tag. Now, you generally won't see the effect of the divisions until you add styles to those divisions. Then you'll see that these really shine. In this example, I've put my styles up here using a style tag in the head section of my HTML document. Notice that the name of each of these begins with a £. That's the identification name of that div tag, division and division 2. I have properties, height, width, left, and top indicates the location of that division. You'll notice that if I change my width from 300 pixels to 600 pixels, and then look at this in the browser, notice that that division extends further over to the right. So you'll be modifying the properties of your div tags using the properties up here in the style. Let me now give you some tips, some general tips for using div tags. A division is a block level element. This means that its contents automatically start on a new line, as you can see here in line 39, and then the next line is line 41. In fact, the line breaks are the only formatting inherent to a division. To apply additional formatting, you'll need to use styles to the division's class or ID. You're not required to label each division with a class or ID, though they're much more powerful if you do so. You can also apply both a class and an ID attribute to the same div element, although it's probably more usual to apply one or the other. The principal difference is that class is for a group of elements, while ID is for identifying individual, unique div elements. And lastly, new section tags coming along in HTML5 that make it possible to divide or even subdivide a document into semantic parts, such as header, footer, section, and nav, will probably make the div tag less important or perhaps even obsolete in the future. Although, if you're coding in HTML4 or XHTML, which Adobe Dreamweaver here creates, and you want to lay out your pages with CSS, you'll have to use div tags. Now, while you can organize big chunks of your web pages into head and body sections, you can divide them into divisions, as I've done here, with various sections of the page delineated, such as header, footer, nav, and content. You can even divide your pages with headers, H1, H2, etc. But you can name smaller chunks or spans of text or other inline elements using inline spans in order to identify them and apply styles to these very small divisions. So let's now move on to the next movie. where I introduced you to creating inline spans to format small divisions of content using the span tag.